Hi, my name is Anshu and welcome to my channel Bottleneck. This is a Scala Design Pattern series. In our previous video, we had implemented a implicit method string to date using an object all my implicits. However, we can do this using a class. We will see that in a moment. In this video, we are going to implement a user defined format and we will see how an implicit conversion can work from a string to a user defined format or a data type. Let's comment it out for a moment. Now let's see how a class can be used to declare an implicit method. Alright, for this exercise, let's rename it to class. Let's go back to car config. Now this is not an object, so we need to create an instance of all my implicit. Alright, so let's create an instance. Let's name it as my implicits and new. Alright, now let's import everything. Alright, so now this is perfectly fine. I have done, I have created a class, an instance of a class, an object, and I have imported everything from the object. It's same thing as we do it from an object itself. Alright, both of them are valid and both of them can be used based on the need basis. If you want to have a separate class for each implicit, you can do it. If you want to have it as an object, you can do it as well. However, using an object will reduce the number of code because all the implicit methods are mostly static. Alright, so let's revert back to our initial object settings. Okay, now alright, so let's make it an object. Okay, now coming back to our next use case, that is creating a user defined data type and creating an implicit conversion on top of it. For that, let's create a class called vehicle type. All right, okay, so let's have a class called vehicle type. This is our data type to which we are making the conversion. So what we need to do here, let's take a note. First is we will have vehicle types as new car and old car. Okay, so we have new car and old car as two vehicle types, and now we will be implementing a partial function to have a string to vehicle type mapping and eventually use it in the implicit conversion. All right. Now, what is a partial function? Partial function is a syntactic sugar that is present with Scala where you can have the pattern match for a given case and it will be not exclusive. It will have only the given matches that you currently can mention. So it will give you an advantage if you don't have all sort of pattern, like you don't have a default, it still works along with that, and eventually it can be converted to an option. So we will see how we can convert a partial function to an option, and further, once it becomes an option, we can use get or else to throw an exception like we did when we were doing it from string to date. All right, so let's first make it an abstract class vehicle type. Abstract class need to have an abstract value. Okay, so let's make it a name of type string. All right, so now let's create an object of the abstract class. So let's make it a new car which extends vehicle type, and let's give it a name called new car. All right, same thing, we will do an case object for old car, and it will also extend vehicle types where the value will be old car. Okay, till now we have created the two types from the vehicle. Now let's create an object vehicle type. Inside this, let's declare the value private val, and let's have this new car as new car. All right, private val old car as old car. All right. So why we are doing this is it's a good habit or a best practice to always have a value initialized to any variable that you are using, so that that will be stagnant throughout your project. Now you can move this to a package level object or any other folder that you have as a static to create all the static variables or static values. All right, now let's create a partial function. So vehicle, all right, val vehicle type partial function, it will be a partial function. Now partial function, we need to have a source type and a target type. Source type will be string, all right, and the target type will be vehicle types. All right, now here we will just add the pattern match. So first pattern, so watch closely, I am using a backtick, it's not a single quote, it's a backtick. Now why we are using a backtick? If we are providing anything with which starts with the lowercase, then we need to provide it, because pattern match will always expect something starting with a uppercase. If you are providing a string, always you need to provide it with a lowercase. All right, so now it has recognized. So see what happens if I pass it like this. Again, let's give it a vehicle type. Vehicle type is new car. All right, and let's do case old car, which will be of type old car. All right, however it looks good here, but still it is going to throw an exception, because again it will try to find this new car. But when we do this with a backtick, now it will not throw an exception. We will see this exception while we will be executing it. As of now, let's implement it. Now this is a partial function, how we can convert this to an option. All right, so let's say vehicle types option. What we are going to do is we are going to lift this partial function. So when we lift this partial function, so it will become an option. As of now we see it becomes an option, it returns an option of string. So whenever we pass a value to this is it returns a method, anonymous or higher order function, which is a string to an option of vehicle type. So if a particular value other than new car or old car is provided, it is going to throw either an exception or it will provide the value itself as a type of vehicle. All right, now let's write an implicit method for this. Let's remove this. Let's write implicit def string to vehicle types. All right, let's provide a value as s string, and it will return vehicle types. All right, now we are going to import everything from the vehicle type. So let's import everything from the vehicle type. All right, now we know that we have everything from the vehicle type, so we will use vehicle type dot option dot, we will say get or else, sorry, get, or we will provide the value as s. All right, so now it is an option. Now get or else. Okay, now we will do the same, throw new runtime exception or any other exception that you like. All right, now All right, so we can give a user defined message that the value is not a vehicle type. Okay. All right, let's fix this spelling. And we can also provide the value that we have there. So let's go back to our vehicle type. Let's remove private here because it will not be accessible. Okay, now we can provide a value like dollar, and we can do s. Okay, that is, it's the value we can provide here. The value dollar s is not a vehicle type, so vehicle type is new car or dollar old car. Okay, now we have this setup. All right, so now let's go back to our car config. Let's add another value called vehicle type. Okay, let's import it. All right, let's modify the option parser. We will be getting a string from the input. All right, let's name it as vehicle type. Vehicle type with an action. Action is an action takes an higher order function, so it will be same as before. All we need to do is c dot copy, and we will do the, let's make it vehicle type equals to x. Okay, so now we see that this conversion has automatically worked perfectly fine. Let's run and see whether it works as expected or not. Let's go back to our main. Let's modify the run configuration. All right, let's add some value as new car. Okay, apply. Okay, let's run this. Now we expect that it is going to print the config on the console, and there won't be any error as such because we have provided the correct value of a vehicle type. All right, so we have an error, not enough argument. Okay, vehicle type. Okay, in car config. Okay, so what we missed is we need to provide a default value here. So default value is always needed if it's an optional, because again it is going to look for the vehicle type. Let's make it old car as a default value. Okay. Okay, now we have this. Let's run it again. All right, so now we are expecting that it is going to print that over the console. Yes, now it has executed. Compilation worked perfectly fine. Okay, date is wrong. All right, so in last session we had not modified the date. Let's modify the date. Okay, run or modify run configuration. Let's make it 30. Apply. Okay, let's run it. All right, so this time hopefully there won't be any error and it's going to print. All right, it's a new car. Now let's make this a change as we discussed. Let's remove this quotes from here and let's see if it works as expected. All right, so we are running the code. It has passed through compilation. Yeah, it has worked perfectly fine. Somehow it has worked perfectly fine, but it is always a good idea to provide a single tick, a back tick over on both sides of when a value you are passing as a variable, which is in smaller case, if in case you are getting any warning or error. All right, so this completes the implementation of implicit methods. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and watch out in the next video where we are going to implement the implicit objects. Thank you.